Hi, I'm Donald Crunk. Today we're going to figure out which is the best 4mm bit set for your use. Stick around. First, I think we should talk about what the history of this format is. Sometime in the mid-1970s, Germany standardized on what interchangeable bits should look like. They released what was called the DIN 3126 standard, which kind of catalogs the different types of interchangeable bits. Specifically, the 4mm bit back then was called the C4, Form C4 micro drive, and the quarter-inch bit that many of us use every day, it was called the Form C6.3. In the late 1970s electronics boom, Japan kind of led the way with high-os bit sets, which were in the 4mm format. And then in the 1980s, German brands started releasing 4mm bit sets, specifically Wiha in the System 4 product line, which persists to this day. All of these products you see before me, with the exception of the one here in the middle, fall under the System 4 category. So let's start with this one. This is the 16-piece ESD 75093 micro driver bit set. So this consists, it arrives just as you see it in a blister pack. And these are probably the most common iteration of this tool that I've seen. It's very popular for knife maintenance, for just folks that specifically need Torx. It also comes in a variant with metric hex instead of the Torx. Both variants, I believe, contain the Phillips and flathead. So with this set, with this tool, you're kind of getting the minimum of what you need, but still in the really nice, well-machined Wiha 4mm bit standard. The driver and shaft are able to be detached, so you can run them side by side if you're restricted with what height you have available. And specifically, the handle is just a little over 4 inches. The shaft assembly is just under 4 inches. You'll notice the shaft assembly has this bit holder fitted over it. It's plastic. It can be removed. So you could potentially keep this separately if you wanted to. The bits are held in here pretty well. You remove them, out the front. They don't really pop off that way. With these particular styles of ESD handles, you can, if you choose to, and I've seen a lot of people do this, mount the bit directly into the driver handle. However, when you do this, particularly on this driver, there's nothing to stop the bit from compressing into the handle, and so if you bear down on it at all, your bit is just going to disappear up into the handle. So they're really intended to be used with the shaft, and you can see how far up into the handle this particular shaft can collapse, especially when you remove the bit holder. This is $30 on Amazon, so I would argue it's maybe not the best value out of the tools that we'll look at today, but it is certainly common, and it's unique in as far as its storage solution for microbits. Next up, we'll look at probably my most commonly used bit set, and that is the Wiha ESD Safe Go Box. I have mine packaged with this titanium pry bar. We'll set that aside. This contains a very similar driver to the one that we just looked at, but instead of the integrated bit storage, you have the bits stored in this nice box here. So this one's seen some wear, as I've used it quite a bit over the last about 10 years since I last purchased this item. So once again, you have your shaft that pulls out of the soft foam storage. This is a closed cell foam, and it's held up very well. One thing you'll notice that is a little bit different with this tool is that the shaft does not fit as deeply into the driver as it does with the 16-piece driver here. So they are slightly different handles. On this one, it is much more possible to use the bit directly with the driver handle if you want to. That's about as far up as it'll go. So that is definitely possible. However, I don't think I've ever done that. I always tend to use the shaft. So what do you get with this bit set as far as bits go? You get a wide variety of flathead, which I would argue is one of the most commonly used micro bits, used for everything from adjusting your glasses, right, to terminal blocks and adjusting potentiometers and electronics. You get a wide variety of Torx bits all the way up to T10, which may or may not cover all your needs in regards to something like knife maintenance, but you do get a wide variety of them. You get Phillips head all the way up to number 2, which is kind of impressive. You get a variety of metric hex all the way up to 4 millimeters. And you get 6 sizes of pentalobe, which are specifically useful for certain electronics. I know Apple devices use them at one time. So this set I feel like is really oriented towards consumer electronics. I don't think I've used the pentalobe very often, but I have used the other bits in my travels. The last item that comes in the bit set would be this 1/4 inch to 4 millimeter adapter, which isn't useful with the driver that's included, but if you have a 1/4 inch drive tool around, this becomes very useful and allows you to use any of the bits included in this set with that 1/4 inch drive tool. This set has traveled with me either in my EDC or in my electronics fix-it kit, which I did a video on earlier, for about 9 or 10 years now. And it's definitely solved a lot of problems. So I highly recommend this. I paid $40 for this set about 10 years ago. These days it goes for around $60. They still make this particular set with a different driver handle. Comparing that to the $30 set here from Wiha, I think there are some benefits to this driver. You get a larger selection of Torx in that it goes up to T20, which can be more useful for a lot of folks versus only going up to T10 for the portable ESD set here. I think this is really oriented towards really small assemblies, whereas this is more of a general use set of bits. However, this is $30 and this is $60, so the value proposition really leans toward the larger set if that covers the sizes that you need. One thing you do have to watch out for, sometimes this lowest row of bits can start to angle out and interfere with closing the tool set. Additionally, you'll notice that under vibration or shock or whatever, the tops of the drivers can sometimes contact the lid. You can see the paint wear that's occurred there. Hasn't really caused any detrimental effects, but just something to be aware of. Next up, we have the Wiha MasterTech 65-piece set, part number 75965. And this is sort of the big kahuna of drive sets that they sell. They do offer kind of a variety of these MasterTech sets nowadays. I do have an affiliate link below that is linked to the set that they sell today, which comes in a different box. So you get the drive handle that we already looked at in the ESD Go box. I believe they are identical. You also get, in this particular set, a micro ratchet. There's quite a few reviews of this particular micro ratchet on YouTube. I think it's very good. The ratcheting action is excellent. I believe it's a 60-tooth ratchet. This is natively a 1/4 inch bit drive rather than a 4 millimeter bit drive. So this relies exclusively on the 1/4" to 4mm adapter in order to function with the microbits in this set. One of the reasons I really like this set is you get the torque size all the way up to T20. You get a full set of SAE hex, which is important to me working in aerospace because we have a lot of SAE hex. You get your metric hex all the way up to 4mm, and you get a wide variety of nut drivers, both metric and SAE, which are pretty cool. They're not something I use a whole lot, but definitely a great alternative to using an adjustable wrench or a set of micro box wrenches, which I never seem to really have around. So these can be really useful if you're dealing with standoffs and electronics assemblies. They go down very, very small. On the SAE side is 5/64, I believe, is the smallest size. So I would consider this their most complete set. If you're looking for a set for your workbench or your home toolbox, this is probably the set that you should consider. For folks working on computers, for folks working on consumer electronics, and anyone working on electronic assemblies, this is a great do-it-all sort of set. This set is one I keep at home, so it hasn't seen a lot of travel time. I bought 2 more of these sets for the lab that I work at, and they see just a ton of use. So they're really highly recommended. Again, I have an affiliate link for the existing set that's on Amazon right now that you can buy, which has many of these same bits with a different driver handle. So check that out. Okay, now we're going to get into Wiha branded bit set that is a little bit deceptive. And if you've seen my disappointing tool video, you'll have already seen this set. This claims to be Wiha here on the front, but it's actually made by Xiaomi. The drive handle that it comes with is fairly nice. It's substantial. I believe it's aluminum. You have a spinning cap just like you would on a regular Wiha. But if you look closely at the bits themselves, they're definitely not Wiha bits. They do not have the markings that typical Wiha bits have. So don't be fooled by this bit set. I believe they're still available on Amazon under a different name. They no longer have the Wiha branding on them. They're available with like the whatever the actual branding is. If you do look closely at the bit selection, you get a wide variety of security style bits. So that is nice if you need those. You have the star drive. Of course, you have Torx. You have this strange pattern, which looks like a set of dice. You have this triangle drive. And you have security Torx, which is just the Torx with the center punched out. I will say this set cost $21 when I purchased it. And so the value is definitely there. The bits themselves have lasted well over the years. I keep this in my bag that lives in my car, so it sees a bit of a harsh environment. So this bit set has survived that rather well. However, I did not appreciate the deceptive marketing tactics that led me to purchase it in the first place. So I would not necessarily recommend this bit set over any of the others that I've shown you thus far. But it does exist on this physical plane, so you should be aware of it. The last bit set that we're going to talk about today is fairly unique. This is another System 4 ESD bit set, but it's seen really limited distribution here in the United States. I actually bought this off German Amazon, so amazon.de. You have the same sort of bits that you would have in either the MasterTech or the ESD Go Box sets, but you have a much different driver solution. So you have the yellow ESD driver handle. That is Wiha's favorite color for ESD. But you have a really unique variable depth locking System 4 drive shaft. And you can see it has these dimples all the way, almost the full length of the shaft. Those interface with some ball bearings in this collar, which allow you to set the depth as you would like it and lock it in that position so it doesn't compress any further up the shaft. I think that's really awesome. I think it's a great feature. It's very satisfying to install. So you just press the shaft in there and pull back on the collar. And it will compress as far as that or any point in between. And once you release the collar, it's locked into that position, which is pretty cool. So I guess, the practical use of this, it allows you to get into some areas which perhaps you wouldn't be able to get into with a different sized driver. I would argue that, you could probably just take the typical ESD driver and just insert the bit instead of using the shaft alongside of it and get probably the same level of compactness. But with this one, you can kind of vary it as needed very quickly. So that's cool. The bit holder is also slightly different. It has a more secure lock on the bit than the bit holders that I've shown you previously. So you can see this kind of collar that fits around the 4mm bit holder, and that holds them in quite securely. I guess I should speak also, the driver handle is certainly superior as far as width goes and just usability to the narrower handles that are found in these other sets. I love this handle style, don't get me wrong. Like, the design aesthetic is just beautiful. I love the spinning cap on top for when you've got a lot of rotations to achieve. You can just press that against your palm and it makes things really easy. This driver isn't that. It doesn't have the spinning cap. It does have a more rubberized feel, but it's definitely much more substantial. It allows you to apply more torque to the fastener. Definitely, when you're using a larger handle like this, or even the micro ratchet that comes with the master set, be careful with these small bits, because they will, no matter how good the quality is, how good the quality of the steel is that's used to make them, they will break if too much torque is applied. I believe the part number is a little different for these, but it's 7000 EB26 ESD System 4. This is a 26-piece set. It comes in the nice metal box, which I think is awesome. I love these metal boxes. I do have an affiliate link for some that are available here on US Amazon. They are quite a bit more expensive here than they are if you buy them from Amazon Germany. However, I'm not sure what the tariff situation is for these if you buy them from Amazon Germany. No experience with that recently. All right, so wrapping it up, who should buy each of these sets? I think if you have a really focused use case, you know exactly what you're going to use the bit set for, one of these 16-piece driver kits is a great option. It's super compact and easy to transport, keeps all the bits together. You don't have a metal box to deal with, which does take up substantially more room. You get a full set of Torx all the way up to T20, which is super important for a lot of folks. So this is a great option. It is $30, so it's not inexpensive, especially compared to a lot of the micro drivers that are available on the internet these days. However, the bit quality, and you've certainly heard this all across the internet, I think, the Wiha bit quality is much higher than a lot of the other inboard brands that are available. You also get these Phillips and flathead, which I think everyone can use at some point, but this is a really great place to start, or a really great place to end if that's all you need to use. The ESD set, the ESD Go Box set, I feel like is a great option for most folks that are working on electronics and have just a wide variety of scenarios to deal with. From a value perspective, this is $60, So you're getting a lot more for your money with this particular set. You do get more limited sizes as far as the top end of the bits that you receive. So, and these pentalobe drivers are not necessarily useful to everyone, right? They're not something that's commonly found on things other than computers. If you work on a lot of consumer electronics and you work on a lot of consumer electronics in the field, I'd really highly recommend the ESD Go box. $60. It's a great value. It has this nice, beautiful metal box that it comes in. This bit set by Xiaomi, branded as Wiha for some reason. I don't really recommend this to anyone. You should probably not buy this. There's probably better options on the market if you're looking for a really inexpensive bit set. This was, like I said, about $20 when I purchased it about 8 years ago, 9 years ago now. I would really recommend going for the name brand Wiha and avoiding this sort of off-brand Wiha set. The Master Bit collection. I would recommend this for somebody who's working on a bench, who's doing, again, a lot of electronics. He just wants one bit set to take care of everything that they need. It's a little bit on the heavy and bulky side to carry with you, I think. This one, I think these days is up to over $100, so it's not inexpensive. But like I said, it does cover all your bases. The bits are very high quality, and there isn't a higher level set available, in my opinion, than this one. You can go to a set that contains individual drivers for each of these types of tools. So if you're somebody who's working on a bench all day and you have sort of unlimited bench space, I would lean that direction. But that's almost a $500 investment to get all of these bits with dedicated tools attached to them. If you're using, like I said, if you're using them all day, every day, that's the way to go. But for those of us that just need a good set for the bench for medium to occasional use, the Master Tech set 75965 60 piece is a great option. And lastly, let's talk about the weirdo here, which is the ESD System 4 bit set 26 piece. So this has some advantages as far as the bit selection that you get. However, just due to the expense on the American market or the difficulty importing it from Germany, this may not be a set that is interesting to everyone. I think if you're interested in this particular bit driver and this system, this could be really useful to you, but you have to specifically be kind of a tool nerd to get into this one. I think that, between the ESD Go box and the ESD Master set, those are probably better options for 95% of people. But if you like this, then you like this, and there's nothing you can do about it. I bought this because I'm really fascinated by this System 4 variable depth system that Wiha has. We'll do some more videos on this in the future, but this one, like I said, here in the United States, this is about a $200 set, so definitely does not bring the value that the other ones do. If you made it this far, I want to thank you very much for your attention. Like I mentioned, I do have some Amazon affiliate links in the description where you can purchase these tools if you want to. That will help out a lot. I'll be able to test some more items and review them for the channel. If you can't tell, my personal favorite is probably this little box. It's been around with me for a long time. Thanks again for your time, and I'll see you on the next video.